Get free tech advice for your business from O2 Gurus. Search O2 Business for more.
Hey guys, welcome to BTech. Basil here, comparing the Huawei Honor 7 against the HTC One M9. The One M9 was announced at MWC. It's a beautiful looking phone. We reviewed it. It was let down in a couple of areas though. The camera isn't as fantastical as we would have liked it to have been. It gets a little bit warm and the battery life will last, well, a little over a day. In fact, if you're a power user, it may well not even last a day. But how does it stack up against Huawei's latest? Just £250, but this thing has a stonkingly great big battery physically, 3100 milliamps, an impressive 20 megapixel Sony sensor, a fingerprint scanner, and a whole load of other stuff that makes it stand out from the crowd, so it warrants a comparison. For starters, you can see 5 inches of screen versus 5.2 inches of screen. Both full HD, both are LCD displays, so similar quality. I think the LCD on the HTC One M9 looks a little bit more superficial. I really like it. Also is a tiny bit, or seems a tiny bit brighter in this room, but the fact you've got some additional screen size is also quite nice on the Honor 7. Realistically though, they are going to be very comparable screen experiences. What you're really going to notice in terms of what's on the front are a few key differences, like the fact you've got stereo front-facing speakers on the HTC One M9. You've also got a front-facing camera, but you've got a front-facing camera on the Honor 7 that has a front flash too, so it'll soften out a face and make those selfies look even more flattering. On the right hand side, you've got volume buttons and power buttons on both devices. On the left hand side, you've got a call button on the Honor 7, which you don't have on the M9, and that's customizable. So you can set it to launch Facebook with 1 tap, you can launch Twitter with 2 taps, and you can launch Google Now Google Now with a long press. Very awesome. Wish every phone had something that freaking cool in it. Customizable button isn't alone though, it's also complemented with a fingerprint scanner. If I swipe down from the top, I can use that fingerprint scanner for gestures, so I can gesture down the notifications tray, I can gesture up, for example, to activate multitasking, and I can long press to take me home. Very cool stuff from Huawei. There's very little of that on the M9. It's much more traditional. Both phones have rear-facing cameras with protruding camera mounts, dual flashes, dual tone flashes. The infrared blast is up top on both phones. 3.5mm headphone jack is on the Honor 7, whereas all of that, along with micro USB port, is on the base of the beautifully designed HTC One M9. It's also worth noting the M9 has this kind of dual tone bronze side silver back finish, which feels really rich in terms of just the sheer hand sensation, but also is doubled up with a great look too. It definitely feels more premium and also easier to hold. It isn't as wide and it doesn't feel as imposing in the hand with the softer, rounder edges and corners. What you can also expect are different user interfaces, both Android Lollipop, but you've got HTC Sense on the One M9 versus Emotion UI on the Honor 7. HTC Sense is super customizable in this iteration. You can change your themes. You've got Blink Feed to the left hand side, which is a social media aggregator. You've also got on the right hand side this quick search or quick access to key applications used on a regular basis. That's in the form of a widget. Pull down from the top and you've got a relatively stock notifications and quick toggles menu, and you've got an applications tray as well, which is horizontally scrolling as opposed to, which is vertically scrolling, sorry, as opposed to horizontally scrolling. There is no applications tray on the Honor 7. Instead, all your applications are laid bare right there. Pull down from the top, notifications, pull down from one of the home screen, and you can access a universal search, and you can reverse pinch in order to get to hidden apps. Now, hidden apps is something which is pretty cool because there's no applications tray on here, but you can resign applications you don't use too often to this menu so they don't waste space on your home screen. There are a few other things, but like I said, the real key highlights of Emotion UI have got to come from that fingerprint scanner that has just been integrated, and of course that quick shortcut button. Ironic that our favorite elements of the user interface have everything to do with those physical components. Moving on to multimedia, the screens of both devices are beautiful. 5 inches, 5.2 inches. They're both going to be relatively immersing in their own rights. What's going to make the screen even more immersing on the One M9 is the fact that those front-facing speakers are going to just suck you in. It's going to really bring that sound to life. The bottom-facing speaker, on the Honor 7 won't be quite as good, but it is a really nice loud speaker. Looking forward to testing it out, assuming it's going to be similar in terms of performance to the P8. But hey, you know what they say, assume nothing. So check back for our review before we say anything too conclusive there. As far as those cameras go, you've got, I think it's a 5 megapixel front-facing camera on the One M9 versus an 8 megapixel camera on the Huawei Honor 7. That 20 megapixel rear-facing camera is against the 20 megapixel rear-facing camera, but this is a Toshiba sensor. It underperformed massively. We were massively underimpressed with it. It just isn't as good, especially in low light, as we wanted it to be. Looking forward to testing this out. It's a newer sensor. Everything's suggesting it should perform well. No optical image stabilization on either device, so I would like to take a guess that this should be better, but again, haven't reviewed it. Check back, because that's the only way you're going to find out if my guess is going to be on point. Connectivity and performance across both are going to be stellar. You've got a Snapdragon 810 on here with 3 GB of RAM versus a Kirin 935 with 3 GB of RAM, both octa-core 64-bit processors. What's also awesome is the fact you get up to Cat 9 LTE on both, Cat 6 if you're in the UK. If you are in the UK, that's only going to be on EE, and it's in key regions like central London, for example. You've also, like I said, got that 3 GB of RAM, and this benchmarks around as well as a Note 4. This used to benchmark better than a Note 4, but since that whole 810 heating issue thing happened, the benchmark results have been tapered somewhat through software updates, so it doesn't perform quite as aggressively. Either way, neither of these devices will give you any trouble when it comes to gaming or multitasking, more than likely. Still haven't reviewed this, so in regular use, can't really say too affirmatively, but we've used it for about 5 hours now and have had absolutely no performance issues whatsoever. As far as batteries go, the 2840 mAh cell in the HTC One M9 or thereabouts will last a day, but just a day, no more than that, especially if you're a power user. Looking forward to putting this through its paces. It's got a 3100 mAh cell. Sure, it's a bigger screen, but it's a much bigger battery capacity, and so should hopefully make the difference between this lasting a day and just about, and this lasting maybe a little bit more than a day with any luck. Ultimately, two great devices. I love the One M9's design. I really hate the camera, unfortunately. HTC does some cool things though with the camera. You can have 4 manual modes, for example. You've got some manual modes on the Huawei Honor 7. That includes things like a 30-second shutter speed for light trails and stuff like that. But it just would have been cool if Huawei had just gone the whole hog and given us a full manual mode so that I could categorically say they have that too. Ultimately though, the Honor 7 seems like one of the best value propositions that I've seen in a very long time. £250 for an octa-core device with a full HD display, a fingerprint scanner that works, and some neat customizations through that quick launch button. If you've got any questions about either of these phones, then file them in the comments section below. If you like BTech in general, subscribe. That's how you're going to stay on top of everything that we do. Thanks for watching.
Holly's also a female, which is awesome because it adds something new to this channel, a female perspective on this, the Huawei Honor 7. New flagship type device from Honor. Just had a hands-on with it today. Starting off with the design, what do you think, Holly?
I mean, it's pretty standard. It doesn't look massively dissimilar to the Honor 6 Plus.
Except for the fact it's all metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, same kind of design language.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's quite recognisable as an Honor device. I think the finish on the back is quite nice, the sandblasted.
Yeah, so this is a 5.2 inch full HD display, metal body, but it has the same kind of flat sides that Honor 6 had before, like Holly was saying. It feels quite good for the price. So this is a £250 smartphone.